name's Evan Tate, and welcome to the 250 Jazz Patterns podcast. In this segment, we're discussing the part of the book Tritone Substitutions. Now, tritone substitutions, what's a tritone? Tritone actually is, we break up the word tri, which comes from Latin meaning three. And tone, we're talking here as far as whole tones, so three whole tones actually from a beginning note, like say C. One whole tone would be up to D, the next whole tone would be up to E, and the next whole tone would be an F sharp. So the distance between C and F sharp is a tritone, which you all know that. And so now within the tritone substitutions, that means here we are substituting, we're replacing one of the chords in a 2-5-1 pattern or a 2-5 pattern. For instance, when we're starting out with an A7, an A minor 7, which would a 2 chord, which would follow to a dominant 7 of D7, we are substituting this D7 through a tritone, so three whole tones, which brings us to A flat or G sharp. So we're making a combination from A minor 7 to A flat 7, and then it will resolve to a G major or G minor, or how depending on you're going. So in any case, that way a chromatic progression is created through tritone substitutions. For instance, there's one example in the book. And so on and so forth. And so this is also something that's also important to learn in order to be able to recognize the tritone substitutions, but also they could be played in other various situations, even though the chord might not be printed there, but you can use just about the tritone substitution nearly any time. And there'll be also complete tritone substitutions of 2-5 patterns, for instance, C minor to F7, and then fitting right in before it resolved to B flat major, I'll stick in an F sharp minor and B7 between it. So in one bar you have 2 beats of C minor, 2 beats of F7, and the next bar 2 beats of F sharp minor, 2 beats of B7, and then the resolving bar of B flat major. For instance, now that sounds something familiar maybe for some of you. It's like, wait a minute, isn't that like a diminished scale? Yes, it has something to do with that too, but it's also naturally within the tritone substitution. In this section of the book, you'll also be learning to sneak in tritone substitutions with the chords. Like say we'll have the 2-5 progression, in say starting off with a G minor 7 for a whole bar, and then the next bar where we usually have the whole bar reserved for C7, I'm splitting it in half into 2 beats of C7, and then the other 2 beats in F sharp 7 before we resolve to an F major. For instance, once more. For instance, that'll be one of several patterns present to learn this type of technique. Present will also be type of patterns that sound a little bit more modern and flipped out. For instance, here is a progression just going from E minor 7, the next bar is E flat 7, the tritone substitution resolving to a D major, for instance. And we're here. I'm using a type of pattern that's based a little bit more around with some fourth intervals and some third intervals mixed in, but there you have a pretty cool modern sounding type of 2-5-1 pattern. So the section on tritone substitutions gets pretty extensive with the chromatic chains of dominant 7th chords and mixing minor 7th chords and major 7th chords in between and things like that. So it'll go pretty extensively, starting in various notes, either starting on the tonic, starting on the third, starting on the fifth, in order to give you a lot of ammunition in order to play just about from anywhere on the horn, just about from anywhere on the chord where you might be, and be able to learn how to resolve it nicely.